I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Like, how do I give constructive feedback? How do I give feedback when like the performance isn't meeting expectations, or you know that someone's capable of more? And I think that first starts with making sure that you're having regular one-on-ones with your team members. And really, when you're in a management role, it's about people more than it is about performance. Because if you can get those people relationships and you can understand like what stressors they have, what motivates them, what their goals are, what their learning styles are, all these different things, then you can really get out of their way so that they can perform really well, but also support them in their goals and their career, whether that's long term with the company or whether that's just momentarily within this chapter and they do exceptionally well. So having those one-on-one conversations is critical, because then you build that rapport and that trust with the employee that you really care about who they are, what their goals are, that their career path, whether it's within the department or whether they want to long-term move into another role, or whether this company is a stepping stone for them into something else. And that's completely fine. But building that trust and rapport, because then when it comes time that their performance slides, or there's maybe a behavioral issue with a colleague, that you can then address it and say, this is what I'm perceiving, and then describe the situation. Ask them to then share what they saw or like what they were doing, because you don't want to automatically assume that you know what was going on, or to attack them by saying, and I put parentheses for attack, but you don't want to automatically come at somebody and say, I saw you did this, why did you do this? Like, that automatically makes people close down and become defensive. And really, you are wanting to help them. So saying exactly what you observed, and then asking them to describe the situation to you, because there could be, and a lot of times there are, nuances to the situation that you are not aware of. So I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
One time, I was sending out emails that had directions for employees in regards to compliance issues, and I needed them to respond to the email. And so majority of people responded timely, and then I had a couple people that were still straggling and hadn't responded yet. And so at the time, and again, this is all part of like the maturity growth curve, I saw it as disrespectful, because I thought that it was intentional, that they were choosing not to respond
Mm-hmm.
and weren't taking me seriously. And so I went and had a conversation with the employee, and understanding then like the nuance of they were just busy and they were overwhelmed, and it had nothing to do with me or a lack of respect. It was just more a matter of like needing help to manage the amount of information that was coming through to them. And so I think that's why it's so important to have those one-on-one conversations and build those relationships, because then you can understand like the nuance behind different situations when they arise. So that way you can help people instead of assume things and then discourage them even more.
Yeah, I think always giving your team, and this is probably good for all of your communications, assume the best until you're proven otherwise, because a lot of the times there will be things that are missing. And you actually brought up a really interesting point. You said at the time you were worried whether they weren't taking you seriously, or that you weren't being respected, which is probably quite a common thing to feel as a new manager, right? You've come into the role and you're asking